Digital marketing and advertising company Electric Guitar has established a joint venture with Exelia Technologies Limited of Cyprus. I'm delighted to be joined by the Chief Executive of Electric Guitar, John Regan. So, John, what are these AI-driven products that you're going to build and what problems do they solve?
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for that kind introduction. I think to answer the question, I just need to recap on electric guitar to give a bit of context. So if you recall, electric guitar is an advertising technology and data business, and we're capitalizing on the way in which privacy is disrupting this $800 billion advertising industry. And what's happening there is that because of concerns about privacy, because of legislation regarding privacy coming in across the world now, and because of the actions of the technology firms providing the data which is subject to that legislation, and that's firms like Facebook or Meta, as they're now known, and Google, and various others. Because of that, what is happening is that the data is drying up. So in the old days, if you were running an advertising campaign to drive people to your website or to drive any kind of e-commerce, it was very tempting and very easy to buy this cheap, ubiquitous third-party data which those companies had harvested. Now you can't do that quite so easily. And what that means is when someone hits your website, they're much more valuable. You want to keep them there and you want to find out more about them. In the past, if they hit it and bounced off, it was very tempting, very easy to just say, well, let's throw some more mud at the wall. And that's great. There's another campaign and it's very cheap, very easy. Now that you can't do that, people are concerned, and CMOs are telling us over and over again, they're interested in first-party data. So they want to form a relationship with those people, and they want those people to tell them directly things about them in a very transparent way. And they're interested in engagement. They want people to really engage with the website and come back. So 3Radical, the business that we recently acquired, creates that first-party data. And it creates that engagement by just inviting people into some form of dialogue using lots of different techniques. It might be a game or a questionnaire or all sorts of things there. The next step in that, of course, is to use that data to engage people and to change the website according to why the marketer, the CMO, understands that person is there. So you go to a website for lots of different reasons. You might be there for entertainment. You might be there to buy things. You might be there to research, and a whole host of other nuances. If you can understand that and change the way the website works to suit the reason the person is there, then you get much better engagement and a much better outcome. You get a better ROI because people get what they want. They come back to the website, and at the right time, if you treat them the right way, then they buy more frequently. And that's where the AI comes in, because you need AI to analyze the way in which people are behaving to then understand why they're there. And there's lots of subtle nuances around that. It might be dwell time. It might be the source that they came from in the first place. It might be the pages that they look at, how long they spend on each page. Lots and lots of very complex nuances will help determine why someone is there and therefore how the website should be adapted. The reason that we've launched the AI JV right now is because 3Radical are sitting on a data set of over 1 billion data points. That's unimaginably huge, 1 billion data points. And they haven't yet use that. But what we know is that those data points describe how people have engaged with the 3Radical products. And what we also believe is that by analyzing that big data set, we will be able to create algorithms that do exactly what I've just described. So looking at people's behavior on websites, understanding why they're visiting that website, and then adapting that website in the way that creates the outcome that CMOs want, which of course is people return, people spend more, people become loyal customers. So it's really, firstly, taking advantage of that opportunity, that data set, and doing that straight away. But the other thing, of course, is Electric Guitar is an acquisitions vehicle, and we have a great pipeline of other businesses which we intend to acquire, and that's developing over time now. And many of those have other data sources as well. So we know that we can continue to feed that big AI engine and get more and more advertising related products to help CMOs and develop more and more machine learning. So we can become a real center of relevant data and excellence and AI, which helps drive that new wave of advertising, which is the response to that disruption.
Okay, so you've told me what 3Radical possesses, but the joint venture partner I know nothing about, Exelia Technologies Limited of Cyprus. So what do they do? Because it's 50-50 joint venture. Do they split the costs? What is it that they can bring to the party?
Well, that's a really good question, and I'm really glad that you asked it, Sarah, because that's very important. So Exelia Technologies are a business that actually I've worked with for about 15 years now. I originally started consulting with them and then have been involved on a number of big data projects with them. They are specialists in AI, they're specialists in blockchain, and they're specialists in generative AI as well. So they really, really know their stuff on that side of things. And that's exactly what they're bringing for us, because what we've realized is we've got the data. I think I said to you in another interview, without the data, AI just won't work. We've got the data to make it work. And what we now need is those really rare skills, those machine learning skills, those data science skills to help us really capitalize on that. And that's what they're bringing to the party, the ability to do that.
There will be costs though, because this is a startup venture. Will they be going 50-50 on the startup costs as well?
What we're doing actually is for the startup to get to the point where we have our first minimum viable product, MVP. To get to our first MVP, we have both parties, Electric Guitar and Exelia Technologies, have agreed to put resources into that joint venture without charging the joint venture. So actually, the cost is minimal. It's the cost of forming the vehicle, which comes the joint venture, forming a company in the UK and administering that. So it's a very insignificant cost. And then what Electric Guitar are doing is putting in the commercial expertise, the public company expertise, the administration, and all of those things that need to be done to form a UK company. And Exelia, as the quid pro quo, are putting in all of the technical expertise that we need. And where that will get us to is the first iteration of our product, the MVP. And what that MVP will be actually is a window on that database. We need to understand it. It's very hard to interpret. And so what we're doing is what's called feature engineering, which is interrogating that data to find out what interactions are there. And then we're going to create a dashboard on top of that data, which means that our clients and our prospects can actually take a look and they can really see that there's something there. And we hope to do that really quickly, by the way. I mean, that actually, these are people I've known for a very long time, so they're friends, that they've actually started work on it already. And we hope that within 2 to 3 months, we will have that window. And we hope that then that will result in the interest that we need to show from our clients and from prospects. And then we can move on from there. So this is really exciting because it gets us to this point where we're deploying machine learning and the cost is very, very minimal for us.
You talk about prospects. Which sectors are these prospects working in?
It's actually quite a broad sector. Some of this is opportunistic and some of it is strategic. So actually, one of the areas where there has been a lot of interest has been in Singapore. I've mentioned to you, I've now been over to Singapore twice. I'm going on over a third time in September. And in that marketplace, Three Radical has some really great relationships with some really large financial services clients. So we have one of the major payment processors as a client, as a reseller partnership there. We work with some of the major banks over there as well. And talking to those people, they're really interested to see what we've got already. Obviously, we can't show them what we've got already because we haven't developed that product yet, but they're very keen to see it. And that's part of the reason I'm going over in September, to keep them warmed up about that and to keep that conversation going. But other areas where there is low-hanging fruit and where Three Radical are beginning to work already are areas like e-commerce and retail, and also those direct-to-consumer products that really flourished in the pandemic. Buying your toilet paper on subscription, that sort of thing, because of course they're really, really dependent on their website working as effectively as possible. That is their only shop window. So those businesses are all very, very keen, we think, to see this type of product.
So when do you hope the joint venture will start to make money, and therefore when will Electric Guitar start to make money?
Well, I hope it will start immediately, Sarah. I think more realistically, we will see that towards the end of the year and in the beginning of next year. I mean, we expect, as I said, we think that we will have a live product in between 3 and 6 months. And obviously, until we've got to that point, we can't charge for it. But at that point, I think we will see money beginning to come in. The other thing, of course, though, is the halo effect that gives us, because it opens a door. It means that we can talk to them about other things that we're doing as well. And we've talked, and there have been a number of RNSs out over the last couple of weeks where we've partnered with a company called Sophos 3, who are also engagement experts and have a software platform, which also helps their clients work out actually what the next best action is. So that platform feeds live agents. So we have Sophos 3. We're also working on another one as well, which should come through fairly soon. So what we should have is a collection of partnerships and the joint venture, and the common thread between all of them is that first party data and driving engagement, so that we can address that disruption I talked about at the beginning. So there we've got, if you like, three strings to our bow now. We've got the joint venture, we've got the partnerships we're forming, and we've done those two things because the partnerships are very quick and straightforward to do, and it brings us more engagement. The JV is the next step on that. And then, of course, we've got that pipeline of acquisitions, which, of course, takes slightly longer because we have to do our due diligence and we have to negotiate heads of terms and all of the rest of it. But that will start coming to the fore as well, and therefore we'll have even more. So the real benefit is first about Halo, because it means we can get through the door and start talking to clients about engagement as well as first party data, which leads to lots of opportunities. And then, of course, there's the money, which will come in 3 to 6 months' time. But that is a very difficult thing to say. I wouldn't want to commit and say this is the month the money's going to come pouring in, Sarah.
I'm fascinated by your friends and family approach to business, because so far you've associated yourself with a trusted network. You've often said to me that you've hired known collaborators and managers that you've worked with for 15 to 25 years. Is it because you don't trust outside agencies, or you've just associated yourself with the best?
I like to think that I've associated myself with some very, very good people. Of course, there are other good people out there as well. They're not the only ones. But throughout my time, I've been very lucky to have been very successful in the private sector. And so as a result of that, I've shared success with a number of people who therefore are very easy to persuade to come on board, because of course they've seen the success before and are happy to get behind me, and they've been really good. And I think also when you've been through the mill with people, it does make life easier. And starting a bootstrap startup, as I have in the past, really does put you through the mill. So you've had a lot of conversations with people, which means that you can just hit the ground running, as we have done with the sales team in 3 Radical. We've gone from zero to having meetings and bringing in new prospects in less than 3 months. And that's because we've had all the conversations before. We know how things work. So it's not that I think I've surrounded myself with every brilliant person in the marketplace. The people I am working with are very, very good, and that's why I'm working with them. It's not that I don't trust external agencies either. It's just that it's much quicker and less risky to work with those people, particularly if they're very happy to come on board and as excited as I am about electric guitar.
Okay, so you've told me time and time again that there's a land grab for enterprises pioneering the new oil of the first party data collection space. So what's your ambition now? Because I'm wondering if you have the funds to pursue that ambition, because I'm looking at the share price since you IPO'd. Is that putting an obstacle, a spanner in the works?
Well, I think, Sarah, first of all, I really don't want to make any statements or promises about acquisitions that we might make going forward. So I'm going to have to dodge part of that question, I'm afraid. But to address the share price, I mean, yes, we were very disappointed that the share price has dropped as far as it had. But we knew that we've been through a very painful process with the fundraise that we did for 3 Radical. I think we were one of only 2 businesses in May when we listed. We were one of only 2 businesses which had raised external funding for an IPO and AIM. So it was a really, really tough market. And it was so tough, it took us 9 months. And because we were on the standard list beforehand, that meant we had to suspend our shares for 9 months. And of course, in that time, people's circumstances changed. So a number of our shareholders, I think, I haven't really spoken to them, but a number of them will have needed to find some liquidity. And so regardless of how they feel about the business and the way things are going in the market we're in, will have had to sell. And the thing is, we're a small cap company, so a very small number of shares being sold makes a very big difference on our share price. But having said that, we hope that the selling will soon cease, as all of the people who needed to do that will have sold their shares. And then we can see, we can see no reason why the share price shouldn't go back up, because the company is going well. Things are going really well. We're delivering on the promises that we made. We've had some frenetic activity over the last 3 months, where, as I mentioned before, we've got the sales team in place. We've productized now, which means we've shortened the sales cycle. We've got a proper sales pipeline coming in, which means we're getting meetings each week. All of those things are happening now, and now we've got the JV. And we've got those partnerships that I talked about. So we're delivering on what we need to do, and we're delivering into that disrupted market opportunity. So for all those reasons, we think that we should be there.
Many thanks. John Regan, Chief Executive of Electric Guitar. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you very much.